On Christmas night, 1996, in Boulder, Colorado, a picture-perfect American family went to bed, their home undoubtedly filled with the warmth of holiday cheer. By the next morning, that warmth would be replaced by an icy dread, and their world, along with the nation's, would be irrevocably shattered. 6-year-old JonBenét Ramsey, a captivating child beauty queen, was gone. Her disappearance, followed by a shocking discovery, would ignite a media frenzy, launch one of the most polarizing criminal investigations in history, and leave behind a tangled web of secrets, accusations, and unanswered questions that persist to this very day. This is the tragic and deeply unsettling story of JonBenét Ramsey, a case that remains an open wound in the annals of true crime. Our story begins in the upscale community of Boulder. The Ramsey family, John Ramsey, a wealthy businessman and CEO of Access Graphics, his wife, Patsy Ramsey, a former beauty queen herself, and their 2 children, Burke, aged 9, and JonBenét, aged 6, lived a seemingly idyllic life. JonBenét, with her cherubic face and blonde hair, had achieved local fame in the child beauty pageant circuit, a detail that would later become a focal point of public fascination and scrutiny. The family projected an image of perfect domestic bliss, a facade that would quickly crumble under the weight of unimaginable tragedy. December 26, 1996. Patsy Ramsey awoke early, around 5:30 a.m., to find a 3-page ransom note on her kitchen staircase. The note, bizarrely long and detailed, demanded $118,000 for JonBenét's safe return, explicitly warning against contacting the police. Patsy immediately called 911, her voice trembling with terror. This call, and the subsequent actions of the Ramsey family, would become a source of endless debate and suspicion. Upon the arrival of the police, the scene quickly became chaotic. Instead of securing the house as a potential crime scene, friends and family were allowed to enter, move around freely, and even help search for clues. This immediate failure to preserve crucial evidence would plague the investigation for decades. The ransom note itself was a perplexing piece of the puzzle. Written on a notepad from within the Ramsey house, it used a pen also found in the house. Its peculiar phrasing, including threats of decapitation and references to a small foreign faction, seemed almost theatrical, raising immediate red flags for investigators. Hours later, around 1 p.m., John Ramsey, urged by a detective to conduct a more thorough search of the house, made a horrifying discovery in the basement wine cellar. There, covered by a white blanket, lay the lifeless body of his daughter, JonBenét. She had been strangled with a garrote fashioned from a cord and a paintbrush handle, and her skull had suffered a severe blunt force trauma. Sexual assault was also indicated. The discovery of the body within the family home, after a ransom note had been found, immediately shifted suspicion to those closest to JonBenét. The initial police investigation was marred by missteps. The failure to immediately cordon off the house as a crime scene led to the potential contamination or destruction of vital evidence. Key areas, like the basement window that was found ajar, were not properly secured. The Ramseys themselves refused to undergo formal questioning for weeks, instead issuing a public statement through their attorney. This hesitation, combined with the lack of forced entry into the home, intensified the public's focus on the family. The media, hungry for details, descended upon Boulder, turning the case into a sensationalized spectacle. Investigators quickly developed 2 main theories: intruder theory and family theory. The intruder theory posited that an unknown assailant broke into the house, abducted JonBenét, and then killed her in the basement. Proponents of this theory point to the broken basement window, a footprint found outside, and the possibility of a staged crime scene by the killer to mislead police. They argue that the sheer brutality of the crime, particularly the sexual assault, points to an external, disturbed individual. However, the family theory gained significant traction, especially among the public. This theory suggested that a family member, likely John or Patsy, was responsible for JonBenét's death, or at least for covering it up. The perplexing ransom note, written on family stationery and with odd phrasing, seemed to point inwards. The fact that the body was found in the home, despite the elaborate ransom note, fueled suspicions of a cover-up. Patsy Ramsey, in particular, came under intense scrutiny due to her background as a beauty queen and the public perception of her demeanor during media appearances. Burke Ramsey, the older brother, also became a person of interest, with some theories suggesting he may have accidentally caused JonBenét's death, and the parents then staged the crime scene to protect him. For years, grand juries were convened, DNA evidence was tested, and countless hours were spent by detectives trying to crack the case. DNA found at the scene, including on JonBenét's underwear, was crucial. Initial tests were inconclusive, but later advancements in DNA technology allowed for more precise analysis. In 2008, the Boulder District Attorney's Office, based on new DNA evidence, publicly exonerated the Ramsey family, stating that the DNA found belonged to an unexplained third party. This was a significant turning point, seemingly shifting the focus back to the intruder theory, yet the case remained unsolved. Despite the exoneration, public opinion remains divided. Critics argue that the DNA evidence, while important, doesn't fully explain all the peculiarities of the case, especially the ransom note and the staging of the scene. They question if the DNA could have been transferred to the scene indirectly. The Ramsey family, particularly John and Patsy, always maintained their innocence, enduring years of public suspicion and scrutiny until Patsy's death from cancer in 2006. The legacy of the JonBenét Ramsey murder is complex. It highlighted the devastating impact of sensationalized media on a criminal investigation and the lives of those involved. It exposed the limitations of forensic science at the time and the challenges of crime scene management. Most importantly, it left a 6-year-old girl without justice, her killer still at large. Decades later, the questions still echo: who was the small foreign faction? Was it an intruder, or was the truth closer to home? And will JonBenét Ramsey ever receive the justice she deserves? The house on 755 15th Street in Boulder, Colorado, once a symbol of holiday joy, stands as a haunting monument to America's most perplexing unsolved child murder.